Hello, everyone. To sum up, we dealt with a number of unexpected problems in the first quarter, as well as the ramp for the new Model 3 in Vermont. The rate of EV uptake around the world is under pressure, as people have seen. As a result, many automakers are putting EVs on hold in favor of plug-in hybrids. We don't think this is the right plan, and we think that electric cars will eventually take over the market. Even with these problems, the Tesla team did a great job working in a tough environment, especially with deploying energy storage, especially the MEAP pack, and making the new product plan. There's been a lot of talk about our new line of cars over the last few weeks. We've changed the cars we plan to sell in the future so that new models come out faster. As we already said, production began in the second half of this year, so we think it will be early 2025, if not late this year. These new cars, some of which will be more cheap, will use parts of both the next-generation platform and our current platforms. They will also be able to be made on the same assembly lines as our current cars. Prices for news about this event were sad. I don't care if you sell your stock. In 5 years, do I think Tesla will be worth more? I believe the answer is yes. If you really want to understand Tesla, you should think about how they solve autonomy and make it work for a huge number of cars. When that day comes, when you can fully drive yourself without any help, I think the value of your assets will have gone up by the most. This is why I am. This is why OpenAI exists. How much cash did you give them? I'm not sure of the exact amount, but it's probably around $50 million. So the man fate loves is really good at comedy. Before, Larry Page and I were very close friends. When I would stay at his house, we'd talk about AI late into the night. When I told him over and over again to be careful about the dangers of AI, he didn't seem to care and was acting very carelessly about it. As positive in a useful way in the day. For example, if a business sells a great product at a great price, it will do very well. That's true in any event area over time. At the same time, we need to keep making sure that the price is fair and that the product is excellent. In other words, you need to answer both the question of value for money and the basic question of pricing. People sometimes forget to ask the basic question of cost. A person who makes several $100,000 a year probably doesn't think about how much a car costs. But for most people who live paycheck to paycheck, it does matter if the monthly cost for leasing or financing is $10 more or less. Making the price more approachable and increasing the value for money are all things that should be worked on over time to make them better. To make cool cars that people want to buy too. Yes, it has to be a great product at a great price. However, the standards for what makes a great product at a great price keep going up, so you can't stay the same. You have to keep making the car better, charging more for it, and making it cost more to make. That's what we're doing. We need to be very careful about what we give to the fleet or to buyers in general, as I said. We can get a good idea of how the car will run in, say 3 or 4 months, by looking at versions 12.4 and 12.5. These versions could even be 13 and 14 because they are so similar to each other or so different that they are essentially the same. Can we get a clear word on when the $25,000 car will be ready? If you really want to understand Tesla, you should think about how they solve autonomy and make it work for a huge number of cars. And as we said, we'll be showing off our custom-built robotaxi, also known as a Cybertruck, in August. In terms of AI compute, we've been working hard over the last few months to make Tesla's core AI system bigger. There for a while, our progress was limited by our training, but now that our training isn't limited, we're making fast progress. We've set up and activated 35,000 H100 computers, or GPUs, which means they are now working. They need a new word because GPU is not correct. I always feel good when I say GPU, even though GPU stands for graphics and doesn't do graphics. Anyhow, about 35 H100s are currently in use, and we expect that number to reach 85,000 by the end of the year. And that's just for training. For our training, we're making sure that it goes as quickly as possible. It's not just how many H100s are there. It's also how well they're used. In conclusion, we're very excited about our plan for autonomy, and anyone driving a Tesla version 12 should be able to see that it's only a matter of time before we're more reliable than humans, and not for long. We're really moving toward electric cars and self-driving cars, So it's pretty strange to be in Palo Alto with a bunch of cubes and have a lifelike robot walk by. It's amazing how far Optimus has come in such a short time. It used to be someone dancing in a suit while pretending to be a robot. Now it's a pretty jumbled robot that does useful work in the plant. This is basically what two Optimus robots in our Fremont plant do. They take cells off the end of the line and put them in a shipping container. As it turns out, we have a bunch of these driving around our Palo Alto buildings. And I think we have one more big hardware change that needs to be made by the end of this year or the beginning of next before we start limited production of Optimus next year. This will only be for use in our factories, where we'll test the product and, as I say, eat our own dog food or whatever the electronic equivalent is. But I think that by next year, we'll have over 1,000, maybe even a few thousand Optimus robots working at Tesla, and things will quickly get even bigger from there. So we'll fix the bugs, give it a lot more freedom, and you'll be able to tell it to do something by saying, "Please do this task," or "I'm going to show you something now, do that thing." And get it to the point where it can watch a video of something that looks like a person, learn from it, and then do that job. Yeah, it's really going to be cool, and I'm sure that the ratio of humanoid robots to humans will be higher than 1-to-1. That means that there will be more than 10 billion humanoid robots in the world, probably 20 or more, and Tesla will be by far the leader in that. A lot of robot startups are popping up, but I think it would be very hard to make Optimus as a robot startup. To make Optimus work, we had to design the EV from scratch, including the motors, the gearbox, the power electronics, and the communication system. We had to start from scratch with everything. There isn't really a supply chain for the kinds of motors, sensors, and gears that are needed for a humanoid robot. This is true even though a lot of electric motors are made in the world. And by the way, this is our generation hand and arm. Our next generation has 11 degrees of freedom, and the generation after that has 22 degrees of freedom. The fact that it can play the piano makes me go, wow. It's very important that we don't end up with the Terminator scenario, so making sure the humanoid robot is safe will be very important. But because each motor, gearbox, sensor, and piece of power electronics has to be designed from scratch, it's very hard, if not impossible, for a company to do the same. But we have the best electrical engineers in the world here at Tesla. We have what I think is the best mechanical engineering, power systems, and electric motors in the world. We have the tools to do that, and it works pretty well. You also need to have a brain. You need an inference computer that uses little power. We have one for the car, and we'll use it in Optimus. You need real AI to be successful. Tesla is the best at real-world AI. To make an interesting robot, you need all of these things. A very good hand of cards. Then you need to be really good at that too. Gasoline cars that aren't self-driving will be like riding a horse and using a flip phone in the future, and it will be very clear what I mean. We are still making the investments that will help Tesla grow and make money in the future. I want to thank the Tesla team for how well they have done during this time and look forward to everything we have planned. So, what is Optimus' situation right now? Some simple factory jobs can be done by us. Well, they can be done in the lab. In reality, we think that Optimus will be in limited production in the factory, doing useful work in the plant itself before the end of this year. I also think that we might be able to sell it to other people by the end of next year. All of these are just guesses. I think Optimus will be worth more than everything else put together, as I've said before. There is no real limit to the size of the economy. You have a humanoid robot that can understand reality and do jobs when asked. That's what's going to happen. And I think Tesla is the only company that can make a humanoid robot that can manufacture a lot of them while still making them work well.